Welcome in, everybody, to episode 48 of JD's Empire Sports Talk. Episode 3 with Biggie. I cannot believe it's been 3 weeks already.
I know. It's crazy.
I know, flying by. Of course, a
Yeah.
lot of action going on in sports once again. We're going to do the usual NHL, MLB, NFL, NBA, and then also some College World Series news because there's a few different things on and off the field that have happened that's definitely going to be worth talking about. And then the
Absolutely.
pickup segment at the end. Well, actually, we're going to start with what we're going to finish with here today is the NHL. So before we get into it, Big, you have anything you want to, just put out there to get off your chest before we get this thing going here?
I'm ready to go. I'm excited. Episode
Okay.
48. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, so we'll start with the NHL. Of course, the Stanley Cup final is pretty much over. Not just yet, but the Florida Panthers are up 3-2.
It's pretty
with
much
Game
over,
6.
man.
Okay, if that's how you feel, I was gonna get to it. But,
I hate to say it.
I'm in agreement with you though. But Game 6 is tomorrow night, so it's not over just yet. But pretty much, we think the Panthers have a chance to go back to back for the first time. I mean, not that long ago. Tampa Bay did it in 2020 and 2021. But it feels like to me, you're obviously more on the hockey end than I do. But from the outside, it feels like to me that the Panthers are playing their style and Edmonton style pretty much together, and they're beating them with their own style and Edmonton style at the same time, which is crazy because Edmonton, of course, is very talented, but the Panthers are just doing it on all ends of the ice. Both ends are just great, right?
Yeah, Florida's really shocking me offensively in this series. I mean, Brad Marchand is having a series. He really is. It's crazy to see that. At his point in his career, I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's up there in age. He was with Boston for 17 seasons, I think, or something like that. Yeah. Somewhere around there. He was on the 2011 Cup team, so he's been around for a while, and he's going to get another one here in Florida. I mean, I think that's my opinion, but Marchand is playing great, and Edmonton's getting out. I'm surprised. I really am, because we had said the last 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, that Edmonton was going to score a lot, and they were going to they have that high power offense. They're hot right now, and Florida was more of a defensive style with, Bobrovsky in net.
Slow it down a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So, I thought Edmonton's firepower would take over, but Florida is matching that and exceeding that. Yeah. And they're beating Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton's holding their own. I'm not saying they're getting killed. It's still, a 3-2 series. Edmonton has crawled their way through the series. I mean, they've had, their wins have been in overtime and stuff like that. Florida, their wins are straight up just wins, like decently sized margin wins, and, a lot of goals scored. Some by both teams, but majority we're seeing Florida offensively, which I said, I'm kind of surprised. They really picked it up, and they're going to go back to back. And, first time since Tampa Bay a couple years ago, but this is huge for the Florida Panthers as an organization, because I like to bring this up because I'm a big, on teams in general, like rather than just the actual play, like organizationally, location, arena, I'm big on stuff like that, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Florida, about 10 years ago, we're coming up on that now. Like the 26, when I first got into hockey, they were the worst team in the NHL, like one of the worst. They were, no one was going to games. They had like $10 tickets, if not less, to try and get people to go. And like I think they ran a promotion where it was, I remember seeing this years ago. They used to run a promotion where if you come to a game, you get another set of tickets free to the next. That's how bad attendance-wise they were. So no one was going to the games. People were saying hockey does not belong in Florida. And, that argument held for a little bit until we saw Tampa Bay go on their run. And now Florida's going to go back to back. So it's awesome. Like I said, I'm really big on that kind of stuff, organizational stuff, arena, team stuff like that, like logos, locations. So, things like that, seeing a team that was in that position, like, about 10 years ago, 8-10 years ago, go back to back in the win Stanley Cups it's actually crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy to see that.
Yeah, and it's something like we think about 10 years. Yeah, we think it's a long time, but in terms of sports, it's not that long.
No, not really at all. Especially for a turnaround like that.
That's what
to
I was
go
going to say.
One of the worst teams in the league and almost moving out of Florida to going back-to-back Stanley Cups. Like, come on.
It's rare. It's really rare for that to happen, because we kind of see in sports, that we always see those good turnarounds, but it takes for a team to be that, like, for people, they're begging people to show up to now. I'm sure those tickets were insanely
priced, sky high. Yes.
which is great for obviously the team. And I like how you mentioned just because, like, of course they're doing great things on the ice, but there's all those other things that come with the product on the ice or the
Yes.
field, whatever sport you want to talk about. And for them to be getting this far, and I feel that we've seen a bunch of different sports. There's always those teams they win a lot, and we kind of get tired of it, like the Chiefs,
Right.
Warriors. Feels like with this team,
Chiefs.
yes, I'm a Ranger fan, you're a Flyers fan. Yeah, we don't want to see the Panthers win because they're in the same conference as us. But I don't think
Yeah, East Coast, yeah.
but I don't think it bothers us as much as those other teams, like the Patriots back in the like.
Oh, yeah, no. God, no.
It feels a
Absolutely
different
not.
thing. It feels like they have a lot of likable players.
Mhm.
And one guy that you said before, you hit on in the beginning, was Marchand. Man, he's going to win MVP of the Stanley Cup
He
if they
should.
win, which is
Wow.
crazy. Which is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. He has 6 goals so far. I'm sure tomorrow night he's going to score another one,
Oh,
without a
yeah.
doubt. And then if
Yeah.
they do get to a game 7, which we don't think so, we don't want to spoil our picks too much.
Yeah, but we
Later
don't
on,
think so. I
we'll
don't
get
think
to
so
that
for
one.
sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really do agree with you. And I feel, yes, it's a Stanley Cup final, and both of these teams are extremely talented. But Edmonton's goalie situation, I really wanted to get your thoughts on this because I know in any sport, it's like when you team says they have 2 quarterbacks, they don't have one, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or if the
Uh-huh.
team says, like in baseball, if you have 2 really, really good, like, starting caliber catchers, you really don't have maybe 1, you should say, because you have to be consistent. And
Yes.
with Edmonton and hockey, I feel goalie is that important with that. And it feels like they don't have, like, yes, they have 2 talented goalies, but it seems like they don't know which one they should play or which one is gonna have the hot hand,
Yeah.
right?
You
It's
know,
weird. It's very weird
so
at this stage.
and they don't have, and I've said this before. We said this earlier. They don't really have anyone that you can consider great in net for them. Either Picard or who went in for Skinner in the game 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Went down 3-0. So you're going in between the two goalies, and realistically, they kind of have been all year. That's been their issue for the last year or so. I mean, they have the offensive power, like we keep saying. And then they have Connor McDavid, who I can argue people do argue that he's the best player in the NHL right now. I can jump in on that for sure. But defensively and especially goaltending, they really don't have the star power like they do on offense. And I think it's showing, you go to the Stanley Cup finals back-to-back years. And it took them a while to even get to the point where they could be in the Stanley Cup finals when McDavid first got to Edmonton. And, some of those guys that have been there for a while are still there. But that's something I think needs to be fixed. And if you don't fix that, you're going to lose your guy. I mean, hockey guys are a little more loyal than they are in, like, let's say the NBA for sure. NBA, absolutely. Even the NFL, sometimes it's like that. Definitely, I'd say baseball and hockey loyalty to teams is way higher than the other two sports. But, again, you get to a point where, McDavid, and it's kind of like Giannis right now in the NBA. We'll get to that later, but I just want to make a little comparison here for you. So, there's no talks of him leaving Edmonton. There absolutely is not. I'm just saying, do they get to a point where is McDavid going to leave or is he going to stay loyal to Edmonton? It's going to lean more towards probably him staying in Edmonton. But again, you got to think about it. Like, if this team continues to fall up short and even decline after this point, they go back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. If they go down a little bit, is McDavid going to want to stay there? Is he going to get offered more money to go to a team that, has a better shot of, winning the cup, like actually going there and doing it than Edmonton does right now? You know what I mean? Those are questions you have to raise. So if Edmonton doesn't get that kind of figured out, in the future, I'm not saying this is anything happening soon or like could happen, but you could potentially see something like that happening, the downfall of the Oilers.
Yeah, it's something you always have to think about that, and it's very, very possible. I know hockey, like you said, is a lot different, but you never know. It's like you're going to keep you. This is what I feel. The Oilers, yes, they're a good team. They have their holes. They have their obviously their strengths, but like you're going to get to a certain point and you can't get over that mark. It's going to come. All right, if I'm McDavid, I'm the best. I know I'm talented. Why would I want to keep? I know what I'm going to get to with this team, unless something gets figured out where they bring a goalie in there that is lights out, which obviously could happen.
It could, absolutely. Or they get some more defensive power.
But what they're working with right now, and they've tried it numerous times, it's not getting them to that point. And it is what it is. But, like, you got to think about that, which is very – obviously, we've seen that with a bunch of teams over the years. It's like, okay, we have a star. He wants to stay. We got to fix it for him. but it also can be the other way. It could be a guy who's like, okay, you did whatever you can do for me, and it's not going to work. We got to move on. And yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. But some other NHL news we have, we'll hit Marchand first, just because he actually made some history at this stage of his career. Like we said before, is insane.
Yeah,
But he is the first player to score 5+ goals in 2 different Stanley Cup Finals. Actually, the last time he did this was in 2011, so 14 years ago.
Right, yeah, because that was the last time
played.
Boston won. I mean, they made it a couple.
Yeah.
I forget they've made it a couple
More
times since then.
recently, but
Yeah, but that was the last time they actually won in 2011.
yeah, and the fact that he's still contributing at a level of this rate at this age, all like that's what I'm saying.
I
Like
know, yeah.
2011 is so far back compared to like where we are now, and he's still doing this is insane. Which shows like hockey is so many guys that are older, veteran type players that just they just get it done for years.
Yeah, I mean, look at Alex Ovechkin. Like, come on.
We talked about him last week. It's insane.
I know.
Man. Like,
and also an age check on Marchand. He's 37.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so he's up there for
hockey. He's up there, absolutely.
Oh yeah. So that means 14. So he was 23 years old when he scored the last time he scored 5+ goals in a Stanley Cup final. So imagine all the things he's went through in his own life from then to now, and what he's still doing is great and contributing in a big way for the Panthers. And then another guy that was traded a few days ago, which I'm a little upset about, but I believe it. But Chris Kreider was traded to the Anaheim Ducks. He approved the trade. He had a no trade clause. He said, "All right, no, I waived the clause."
With it, yeah.
So, 13 years with the Rangers. I remember him on the first Stanley Cup team, and then all these postseason runs they've had recently. One of those guys that he always gave it his all. I'll tell you that. Yeah. There was no one that played harder than him, and he still can play. Don't get me wrong. I feel he can be good for the Ducks, but it felt like the Rangers, just his whole past season, the way it was going with him. I know he had a few healthy scratches. I talked about this the other day on my the episode 47 when I did it by myself. Was
yes, go watch it. Go watch it.
Go watch it after this.
Yeah, after this, of course. Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall, I think. And as a Ranger fan, I kind of expected this just to happen. It feels like all the guys they traded during the year too. They kind of
they made a lot of moves, a lot, especially with big name guys on their team.
Yeah, and I thought Kreider was going to be the guy that would have been gone during the season, but I guess they had more respect for him than they did the other guys, which rightfully so should have been. But it also probably had to do with him saying, I don't want to move mid-season, and he's like, all right, I'll go. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, do you think this is a good move? As a fan of the Rangers, I feel upset just because he's gone, but I feel it's good for the team because they got more cap space now. I think it's $7 million or so.
I was going to hit on that, the cap space. Yep. And the Rangers are a team. I mean, they have a good team. They do. They have a team they can build around.
They got a little younger.
They're a younger team now, and I think the Rangers are trying to get to a point now. Especially they just hired Mike Sullivan. So I think they're not fully rebuilding because they're not going to like clear house. But a lot of those veteran guys are gone. You know what I mean? I think it's time to move on from those guys and build up with this new young core that they have, especially after the year they had. For the Rangers, it was a bad season. For the Rangers standards, it was a really bad season. It wasn't terrible on paper, but for the Rangers standards, it was bad. So I think they looked at that and be like, okay, let's try and build around our young core, open up some cap space. Maybe we can get, some guys in a trade or something, someone young, something like that. I think they're going to build around their younger guys now. I think it's time. It's going to be a completely different faces in New York coming up in the next couple of years. So I think it was a good move in that aspect, but I can see why emotionally it sucks,
Yeah, and it was something that a few years ago, when Kreider obviously was younger and a major contributor at the time, but they said we're going to rebuild. I remember they sent like a letter, pretty much, or wrote a post and a letter to out to all the fans saying, it's not a rebuild or whatever it was, and they were right. That team was very young, and they made it to the playoffs a bunch of times earlier than expected. And I feel at that definitely connects with this, is because they were so far ahead of what the front office thought that team would be. It's kind of they went out and tried to make every move possible to win at that moment. And I felt like after that happens to a lot of teams, but after you do that and go maybe ahead of schedule, after the fact, it's going to hurt a little bit. And I feel like this is what the spot they're in. But like you just said, this is a team that's never going to fully rebuild. They will not do that. And with a coach like Sullivan, you're not going to want to sacrifice 2 years why. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the guy you're going to keep around. You're going to keep him around for as long as you can.
Let's say this is a coach that you need to have a good team for because this guy is one. This guy's a winner.
Yeah.
He may be up there a little bit in age and he may be a little bit out of his coaching prime, but still he's a winner. You know what I mean? You see what he did in Pittsburgh for the last like couple of years or so. You know what I mean? Like a while, not couple. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah. And he makes it like he gets his type of player, which I'm sure that's what had to do with it. He wants a younger roster so he can mold.
I was gonna say you go from Pittsburgh to New York. It's so different age wise. Oh my god.
Yeah. They might have the nursing home over
there. Yeah, the Pittsburgh Penguins are at this point, honestly. And that's just not me talking heat because I'm a Flyers fan. It's the
truth. Listen, we're going to do a little bit of both on the show. We're going to talk heat, like we said, about every Boston team, which we'll get to later. But
yeah,
we're going to do that. And any team that has to catch a stray, they're going to because we're not going to let anything slide here. We're not. If someone does something stupid, they're going to have to hear it.
You're going to hear about it from us. Yeah.
You're going to have to.
Especially if we don't like you.
Exactly. And the last NHL news we got here was, of course, great goalie for the Winnipeg Jets, Connor Hellebuyck, winner of the Hart and Vezina Trophy, which is extremely rare. And talk to me about like how rare this is, because I was reading about it, and I like hockey, of course, but I don't know to like that level of like how rare it is. But it seems like for a goalie to win both of these awards, which shows how great he was this year. I mean, he's just great every year, honestly, but to this level of greatness in a season. In the regular season, of course, his postseason was a little different, we should say, but his regular season was outstanding, right?
Oh, unbelievable! Yeah, the Winnipeg Jets were awesome this year, and he was a big reason for that. But for a goalie to win basically the MVP award of the NHL, which is the Hart Trophy,
I was going to say, and goalie of the year, right?
Yeah, and goalie of the year. So you have the MVP and goalie of the year. That's pretty rare. You know what I mean? Like you don't see a lot of goalies winning a Hart Trophy. Like that. I mean, you have to have a really extremely good season for that. Yeah. And you know, it's obviously well deserved, but that's why we're talking about it because how amazing of a feat it is to win MVP and goalie of the year. Like, you know, that's basically what it is. It's the MVP award of the NHL essentially. So
yeah,
you know.
I was gonna say it's like a pitcher winning MVP inside.
Yes, exactly. It's like a pitcher winning the MVP award. That is a great way to put it.
Yeah, unless it's Ohtani. Ohtani doesn't count. But like someone.
Yeah, like Ohtani doesn't count.
Someone that's only a pitcher winning Cy Young, which of course is the pitcher of the year, and MVP.
And the MVP award. Yes,
it doesn't happen a lot, which shows how great that regular season was from him. But we'll move to the MLB, which I cannot believe this happened around this time. Actually, last night, megastar pretty much Rafael Devers from the Red Sox was traded to the San Francisco Giants. For pitchers, Kyle Harrison, who was sent to AAA, who has big league experience, but they said a lot of work needs to be done. Jordan Hicks, who's a flamethrower with an 80 ERA or so a lot of work to be done there. James Tibbs III, who was a first-round pick, I believe, last year or the year before. I think it was last year. Really good outfielder, lefty bat. He's probably the most promising out of what they got there. And then Jose Bello, who they said was a single A like rookie ball pitcher, so he's a long way away as well.
I was gonna say, yeah, especially rookie ball, like low way.
Yeah, really, like he has a lot of development as well. So this move was also from reports saying the Red Sox weren't shopping Devers, so they kind of just picked up the phone, I guess, and like, the Giants, you guys want Devers? Like, we're not really telling anyone about him. You want to trade? And then they just did it, which is ridiculous. Because first of all, I think we should talk about how the Red Sox last week, they finally brought up all three of their top prospects. And these guys,
we were talking about that.
Yeah, we said this last week. These aren't any like three like random prospects. Like these are three guys that are ranked very highly, considered by every MLB scout, team, whatever. Very, very highly like sought out prospects, all up at the same time. All guys, they move positions around. All of them pretty much, I know two of them were shortstops, Marcelo Mayer and Christian Campbell. Those guys play shortstop in the lower levels, but obviously when you have Trevor Story, you can't move that.
I was going to say in the big leagues, like where they fit with Boston, they're going to be outfielders.
Yeah, and right now Campbell's doing outfield and infield. Mayer is more, so he can't really. I don't think he would have a good do well in the outfield, so he's playing more at third, which I think is probably what his position will be. But then Bregman's coming back, so that's another thing. And then you listen. This is what my point I'm getting to here was. You have Bregman on the mend. You have all these prospects up. You have a terrific defensive center fielder in Rafaela. You have a pitching staff that's coming together for the most part. Crochet is an ace. Chapman is lighting it up in the bullpen, and you have Devers as your leader, like in terms of like who you got there, and you trade him. Like I know they had problems. Like I know they had problems with spring training because they signed Bregman. He said, "I'm not moving my position" or this and that, and they wound up just not letting him even play the field. Then they approached him about playing first base because Casas got hurt. He said, "No, I'm not playing first base," which I know it could be a little bit of a problem. But when you have a player that talented, we see it all the time in the NFL. You make it work. You have to make that work.
You have to with someone like that, and especially like you said, like Bregman's just coming back, correct?
He's not even. He's on the way. Like he'll be back.
Yeah,
soon.
he's on the way. Okay, so with him out of the picture, and then Devers was your guy.
Yeah,
he was your guy. He was your top guy, your guy that you rely on, and I really don't know why they would trade him. I mean, maybe it was conflicts with, the position change and, stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like you do everything to, keep him around.
Yeah, you have to. Like, I don't get it.
You should, right?
Oh,
we were talking about it. Boston, they brought up their 3 top guys. I'm sure the Boston fans are like, all right, it's finally time. We're finally going to, move up a little bit in division. And, we'll get to it later about their recent series.
Yeah, over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. But so there's some hope in Boston, and then you trade your best guy for it wasn't really a terrible trade, but it wasn't for Rafael Devers, it's a bag of chips.
Yeah, and this is a team that we just said they were going in the right direction. We said this on the first episode. We said on the first episode where they weren't really going there yet, and then after 2 weeks, we're like, "Oh, this team is turning it around there."
Yeah, they are.
Don't want to see maybe in August, September, leading into the postseason because they can get there and do something. And I'm sure they would make a move or two, but now they just went backwards. And then I know Jaron Duran is another guy that may be traded. Well, if you got this for Devers, you're not getting anything then for like to this level. And this level of a trade was not good for the Red Sox, honestly. You're not going to get that much for Duran, who's another really good player. Like, I don't even know why you're even considering trading him. It makes no sense. Like, I really don't understand why they're doing this. And I don't know. I feel you think of Boston, it's a bigger market, and they're acting like a small market team. And Devers just got an extension like 2 years ago. And
that's early too. Didn't they extend him like recently?
2 years ago, and I believe it was like an 8-year or 10-year deal. So this is something
this is odd. It had to be something with spring training, like the conflicts they had during spring training.
It had to. It had nothing to do with what he was doing on the field because his numbers weren't good, obviously, the first week or two, but after that, he took off. He's been great. And it's just like the mindset. Like, I don't get it. And the guy that's running, I don't know if he's the GM or president of baseball operations. MLB is a little different. Craig Breslow was a guy that played. He was a lefty reliever, played for a long time. You should have the mindset as a player. When you're a player, you want to go out there. You want to win every night. So why would you get rid of? Why would you get rid of? Maybe that's something that maybe like a GM at didn't really play, but he's like a smart type of guy, doesn't understand that part. But if you're a player, you should understand that whole thing. I really don't.
You should be, if you're someone that actually went out there and played, you should kind of understand that. Well, I want to put up this comment from Robert D'Angelo here, making a good point.
Robert right there with the financial.
So they wanted to rid themselves of the financial part, and they screwed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like you just said, you made that point. You know what I mean? From a GM who didn't play. You know what I mean? Like he made that's a decision you would expect from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not from someone who actually played the game.
Yeah, I still don't get it. And then listen, for the San Francisco Giants, that's a home run because this is a team.
Oh my God, yeah.
This is a team that for the past, I want to say, 3 off seasons, pretty much, try to get Judge, couldn't get him. Try to get
they jumped me.
Carlos Correa, they had him, but whatever, the things happened. They didn't.
They did with Judge too. You remember ESPN sent a notification and jump scared me, dude. I was almost in tears.
Judge.
I was so scared. I'm like, they did not get rid of Judge right now.
Yeah, and in this offseason, I know they weren't as into Soto, but they were trying. So this is a team that's been trying to really, they've been trying to really get someone on this team to a star status, and now they have Devers.
I say Devers is that guy now for him. That's who they ended up with.
100%, and he's not going to play third there, but supposedly he's okay with it because they had Matt Chapman, who's a really, really great defender and good player.
Yes.
Devers can play first base, though. I think that's what fits him better. But this is a San Francisco Giant team who's having a great year in the middle of a division race, playoff race, and now you add him to it. I'm excited for the Giants, honestly.
That's it. The Giants now have some excitement around them, which is good. You know what I mean?
Good for them, man. And
Yeah.
it's one of those teams they kept trying to get that big fish and they couldn't get it.
And
Like,
they
you know
finally
what?
did.
We're gonna trade for one, and it's gonna help us out big time. And they put him in that stadium. Right field's not that deep. He can hit a bunch of McCovey Cove right behind right field. He can hit a bunch of shots over there. Excited. And making his debut, I believe it's tonight.
Would it be tonight?
I think they play tonight.
Have a look.
Yeah. I know they play the Red Sox at the end of the week, so that should be fun.
Well, that'll be an interesting series now.
Yeah, the weekend series.
Oh yeah. Let's see. The Giants tonight do not play. No, I don't think so.
Not a lot of games tonight.
No.
They got the Guardians at home tomorrow night, 9:45. So Devers.
All right.
But yeah, imagine this: if Devers was playing the Red Sox, which he is, but at Boston this weekend, that would be something else. But it's in San Francisco, but still, the point still stands. That trade is wild. But going back to the Red Sox, they swept the Yankees over the weekend. They played really well, and the thing that stood out to me was their pitching was great.
Yeah.
Crochet almost won a complete game until Judge took him deep. I believe that was Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, for the most part, I know Brian Bayo pitched great. I think it was 6 or 7 innings. He pitched great. I forgot who pitched yesterday. Let me look at that as well. But they won 2-0. So whoever that was pitched great. Oh, Bayo pitched yesterday. I'm trying to think who was in between. Why can I not? Oh, Hunter Dobbins, the guy we clowned him for making some comments last week. Another guy. Pitched great. This is what I'm saying. They've won 5 in a row, 7 of 8. This is they look great. And I know from your side, beating the Yankees, kind of feel like maybe those nerves came in a little more. But celebrate a little bit because I know you're going to get into it a little bit about your Yankees later. But Devers is now gone, so it helps a little bit. But they lost 5 out of 6 to the Red Sox, right? Between the last 2 weekends.
Yes, yeah, because they the first series they lost 2 out of the 3, and then they just got swept. So yeah.
The nerves might have to come back a little bit, Biggie. I don't want to be that guy, but I don't know.
And the Yankees just came off a very good series against Kansas City. They did, and you go against your rival, and you get swept. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I was up here and then back right down. We were talking. They were getting a little bit of a skid, and then they go out. Like I said, they swept Kansas City, which is okay, good. First game put up 10 runs, which is fantastic. And the last game was only 1-0. The second game was 6-3, by the way. So a little bit died down a little bit, but then you go into Boston, into Fenway, and get swept. The first game in 10 innings, okay, you competed. Second one was 4-3 again, still competitive, but they get shut out in game 3.
Yeah, not
good at all. And right now they are playing the Angels. I will check in there. It's still 0-0 top of the 4th.
Clark Schmidt's pitching. Yeah, he's been really good, honestly. After
Schmidt's been playing well. Yep,
Stanton is back as well. So
that's good. And that's always good. At least in September and August.
Maybe not now.
Not right now, but it will matter and come playoff time.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you was over the weekend they got swept. You lose games. It is what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of games.
There was a lot of sloppiness on the Yankees end. Which yes, the Yankees are 42 and 28 first place team, but it feels like over the past couple of weeks that a lot of the bonehead mistakes that shouldn't be happening happen. And someone got picked off at second base or whatever. Like that should never happen at that level.
No, especially when you're that good. Like you know what I mean? Like you can't be perfect, obviously. And again, there's so many games and all that.
It can't happen.
And with so many games, I'm going to bring this up, there's so many guys that rotate through in the lineup. You know what I mean? So many pitchers, and even, not just the pitchers. I mean, you have guys like, a game 3 in the series. If you're up 2-0, you're not – all your guys aren't playing. You know what I mean? You're rotating some of those guys in the lineup. So, it changes a lot. Baseball is a very fast-changing sport. I mean, you have a different lineup in like 2 days, after your start. You have your main starters, and then two games later, you have a completely different lineup sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing with baseball. But like you said, those mistakes, I don't think we can blame that because, again, this is a team who, and I said, you're not always perfect, but you have a standard as the Yankees, and how good you are, your record, you need to play at that. And, you want to have no mistakes. I mean, obviously we both know as a former athlete, as athletes, you want to have perfection when you play, but that doesn't always happen. But mistakes like that, and especially for the way that, like I said, besides the sweep at Kansas City, they haven't been playing fantastic baseball. They haven't been playing to the standard of the Yankees. I'll say that. You know what I mean? Especially for how they started out the year. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the mistakes are starting to show a little bit, and I hope they can pick it up. I really do. But again, there's a ton of games. There's a lot of baseball. You know what I mean? This is a long, baseball's so long. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, but it's gonna happen. You just got the good teams just prevent it from happening too much. But
and the Yankees are letting it happen too much right now. I think.
Little bit.
They're not playing to their standard.
For your sake, they have to put a nice beating to the Angels because Angels are not good and they're back home and everything like that. They cannot let that happen. But
not at all.
The next news we have here is shocking, honestly, but I understand it. Shohei Ohtani is back to the mound tonight, who hasn't pitched since 2023, but he's only going
crazy.
Which is a long time, long recovery. Rehab on the fly, I guess we put as a question mark, which is what's going to happen because something that is fascinating is we know in the MLB, pitchers are hurt. They have to rehab through the minor leagues to get back up to the major leagues.
Yeah.
Ohtani is not the same cat in the sense of that.
Because he's been on fire in the batter's box since then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can't tell Ohtani, you can't play for 2 weeks. You have to go pitch.
Yeah, so you're going down to, I think it's Oklahoma City for AAA. You're going down to Oklahoma City. No, you're not.
You can't do that. So, and he's been throwing his simulated games or whatever, but you can't. He can't go back down like we just said. So he's going to do it here. And the thing that I saw with the report that came out, there was an interview with him and his new translator, and whoever was interviewing him. And he was saying that the days that he does his simulated games, he has to pitch at 2 p.m. because obviously that everything comes with the guys have to get hit BP, both teams hit BP and all that. So he has to throw at 2 p.m. So he has to get ready before that, obviously. Then he has to recover after he throws. Then he has to rest for a little bit, get ready again to hit, and obviously all that. So he said, why don't I just pitch in game an inning or two like I would do, and then you put in whoever you want to put in after that, which is honestly – if it just because it's Ohtani, because I hate the guys start like the Tampa Bay Rays. They used to do it. They don't really do it that much anymore with the inning or two and put a new pitcher in. I
don't like that either.
But Ohtani's case, 100% this works out because just because he's rehabbing, doing simulated games before the games start, that's a lot more on your body than him. He can get ready. He can hit a little bit, whatever. Go warm up, throw his 2 innings. He's still gonna hit the rest of the game, and he can relax for the rest of the night, pretty much for the most part. That is what I like about this situation. And Ohtani is much needed for this team right now because they have no pitching. That's the thing. That's why I think they wanted to do this more, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is, at least you would know a little bit more about me being a pitcher. I feel like this is smart in his case because, again, you can't have Ohtani go down through the minors and rehab. You need him hitting. And I think this might be, the only exception where we approve of this. You know what I mean? This whole pitch a guy for 1 or 2 innings and take him out. You know what I mean? This is the only situation where I feel like it could work. And do I think it's going to work? It could. I mean, he hasn't pitched a game since like an actual live game since what, 2023, you said, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So it's been a minute. I don't know how he's going to do. It's Shohei Ohtani. He should do fine. But again, we'll see how this works. I think it's the only way you can really do it for him. You know what I mean? It's the only way it can get done for Shohei to come back on the mound for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like we said, he's been lighting it up hitting wise, and you know what I mean? He's been on fire. But you can't get rid of a guy like that. You can't send a guy down to AA or AAA to rehab. You have to find other ways, and this might be their other way. Even though we don't like it, and it's not something that most baseball fans probably don't like, this is the only way you're going to get Shohei back on the mound fully. You know what I mean? Get him recovery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And he gets his whatever, probably 30 to 35 pitches if I had to guess. And
Not a
yeah,
lot.
and the first assignment is the top of the Padres batting order, so that's going to be great for him. But
Yeah, right. That's actually, it actually is. It's some good hitters there.
yeah, and I feel it's good for the game as well, just because. But like, okay, so now it's June. Otani's pitching an inning or two now. Give it a month or two, he'll build his way up, and then hopefully,
Mhm.
if I were the Dodgers, I would take it really slow as much as you can, just because
Oh,
you want to have
absolutely. Oh
him
my
for
God,
the
yeah.
postseason. And this is a whole other argument I've had with people, like why even bother having him come back and start? If you want him to pitch in the postseason, make him a closer. That's what I think. If you want to do it like
Yeah.
that, but they're not going to. They're going to want to make him
No,
start until he gets
that's the
injured
thing. They'd
again.
never do that to him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's something you can't do with
No,
him.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah, and I feel like they're gonna let him start again. He gets injured, then they might pull the plug on the pitching, but they're gonna try it again.
Mhm.
And it's good for the game, just good for the sport, just of how good he is. And you look down the road a little bit, you never know. Otani's gonna be in the All-Star game as a DH, but
Yeah.
if he's up to pitching maybe that day, he can start the All-Star game, which is very possible.
Yeah,
Attract
and
more fans. So
that could even be a
great.
little bit of a rehab stint for him too. That
Yeah,
could be
that's what
like
I'm
his
saying.
rehab.
If he's only gonna do the inning or two, go to the All-Star game. All right.
Yeah, I
If he's
agree.
if he's on that schedule to do that, then he can go pitch in the All-Star game an inning or two, and that'll get him to the next step or whatever it is. So that it may work. It may work out. But hopefully that he doesn't have a setback, because you don't want him to go out here tonight, maybe get hurt himself, or maybe not tonight, but another
Yeah,
game,
or
hurt himself
absolutely,
pitching.
crap the bed, you
Yeah,
know.
that too, and then that messes with his mind a little bit, and then he can't hit, which
Yeah, and then it
want
gets the Dodgers thinking, okay, this was a mistake. What do we do now? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, so they're taking a gamble, 100%, definitely taking a
Oh yeah.
gamble.
But
But
with a player like Otani, you kind of have to sometimes.
yeah, and with the Dodgers, usually these gambles work out for them, so we can't even
Yeah,
sit here and
yeah, they
criticize
do.
it, because it always works for those guys. But
Yep,
uh,
always.
it's always something with them. But let's check in just on the standings overall, see what teams moved around. Pretty much kind of the same as it was last week, but a few different uh, moving parts. But Biggie, you want to take it away first with the good old American League, who's being
Of
led by a
course,
team
of
that I
course.
don't think anybody expected to be this good, right?
Yeah, no. So we're gonna start. We're gonna. Last week we started in the West. We're gonna start with the East again. We should just do that back to back weeks.
Yeah,
We'll go East West, East West. You know what I mean? All right. So start with
David
the East. The
for one time.
Yankees. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the Yankees are still on top. 42 and 28. Again, like I said, a little bit of a skid. Unfortunately, in their last 10, they are 5-5, and they're on a 3-game losing streak right now after that Boston series. Tampa Bay is 3.5 games behind at 39 and 32 record. They are, looks like they're 7-3 in their last 10. So that's pretty
Yeah,
good for them.
they swept the Mets over the weekend.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah, they did. And then Toronto, again, another team we didn't expect to do much. They're still above 500, 38 and 33. They are 6-4 in their last 10, which is still not terrible.
Holding
But
their weight. Yeah.
yeah, they're holding their own. They're again better than we thought. And then Boston, they're just 37 and 36. I see them going below 500. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but
That
it's
might have
not
been
going to
the
be.
that might have been the when a pin hits a balloon just deflates, that Devers trade
Yep, this is
might
it right here.
Yep.
And then we have the god awful Baltimore Orioles.
Oh
Oh,
my God. They have gotten a little better though. We could
they
see
have, but they are still 12 games behind the Red Sox. 30 and 40 overall, and 6-4 in their last 10 though. They're, you know what I mean? So a little bit, So yeah, there's that.
It's
All right. So let's move on to the Central. You have the Detroit Tigers, 46 and 27. Tigers are having the generational season. Oh wow, it is awesome to see. Love seeing the Tigers do well. They are 5-5 in their last 10 though.
I was gonna say they had a rough weekend as well.
They did, but they still are. They're
Well, it's
still
too good, so it doesn't matter for them.
right. Exactly. They're at a point now where that doesn't really matter. They have the most wins right now in baseball, by the way, with 46. So
Crazy. It really is crazy.
it is, yeah. And what is crazier is Minnesota is second in the Central, and they're 9 games behind Detroit. They're 36 and 35, just above 500, 2-8 in their last 10. Oof.
Yeah, they were when we our first episode I think together. They were on like a huge they won
Win
not a
rate.
huge winning streak, but they had a lot of wins stacked up, and kind of feels like they're always like that. It's weird. It's like they
Yeah, up
play
and down.
well,
Yeah.
and they're just not consistent, and
Nope.
that's what happens with them. But
Yeah, and then we'll talk. They've been mentioned quite a bit because they've been playing our teams. Cleveland Guardians are teams that we've been talking about. 35-35, just at 500, and they're 2-8 in their last 10 as well. So that's another team that kind of fell off a little bit too. This whole NL Central division really has Kansas City. They're below 500 now, 34-38. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They got swept by the Yankees 2 series ago. It would be now, right?
Yeah.
So again, this division's falling apart a little bit. And Detroit is just riding off that. They're best. They have the best record in baseball right now.
Yeah,
At this moment, they do.
I was just about to say when we did these standings even last week, all these teams under the Tigers were, of course, behind them, but they were over 500. And
Now we have
gave them too much praise, I guess.
all of them are either at 500 or below.
Now. Yeah.
Kansas City's below, Cleveland's right at it, and Minnesota's 507.
Yeah, just one game above, so that can easily change. Yeah.
And then the Chicago White Sox, not much to say there, 23-49.
We could just skip that.
Yeah, they're still better than last year. I will say that every time. And then we're going to go into the West. AL West, Houston Astros in first at 41-30. 8-2 of their last 10, so they're picking it up a little bit. They're playing pretty well. Seattle is 36-34. Behind them, they're 4-6 in their last 10. So Seattle's another one of those teams that was pretty good, and now they're kind of leveling out a little bit too.
Yeah.
And then the Texas Rangers are just at 500, 36-36. 7-3 though in their last 10. So they've been playing they've been winning.
Better, yeah. Finally learned how to hit a little bit.
Yes, yeah. And then the bottom of this is the worst division for sure.
Yeah.
And usually they're one of the best. So this is, out of the three of them, they're usually the second best behind the AL East because you have the Yankees in there. And yeah, but the last two, I don't even think like the Angels, they're 5-5 in the last 10, 33-37. Then the Oakland A's, their situation we've said is messed up. So those teams, how they are. They haven't gotten much better. You know what I mean?
No.
But yeah, that division's it's iffy. It's the worst one for sure though.
Yeah.
All right. So JD, you want to move into the NL? Your Mets are high and mighty.
Yeah, not after the weekend though.
Not after the weekend, but they're still up there.
They still are. I can't complain. I can't be one of those. But the one thing I did want to say before I moved on from the American League was the wild card race is going to be something else because all these teams that are in the wild card are just like they're good, but like they're not great. So like they're just they're from like that 5 games over 500 to the end, like to 500. It's weird, but listen, the American League, honestly, from last week to this week, a little down.
Yeah, especially the Central.
Oh yeah, they took a hit. Yeah, big time. But I'll start with the. You know what? I think I did the. Oh yeah, well I'll do the NL East first. So my Mets are 45-27. They did get swept over the weekend, so they were 45-24 before getting embarrassed by the Tampa Bay Rays, pretty much for the most part. Friday night they started out winning the game. I think it was 5 or 6-1, and they lost. That was not good. And I thought Mendoza, who I gave praise to last week. So a lot of people who we gave praise to last week kind of didn't live up to what we talked about.
Yeah, they watched the show and got the jitters.
Yeah. They kind of they got too much recognition, I guess. Mendoza pitched. So Clay Holmes pitched great 5 innings. I think it was like 78 pitches, which is he could have got 2 more after that. And so Kodai Senga got hurt the day before. So we have Paul Blackburn, who's a veteran in the league or whatever. They have him as a long relief guy he's normally a starter, but there's just no room for him at the time in the rotation. So his last time he pitched was Sunday. So they were like, okay, we got to get this guy innings. So Mendoza thought he was being cute. You're up by a lot. Let's get Blackburn in, maybe finish the game. And now Senga's hurt, so Blackburn's going to have to take his spot next week. So if Blackburn didn't pitch Friday night, he wouldn't have been able to pitch, and then he kind of wouldn't have been ready for a start. So Mendoza tried to get cute. It didn't work. And then Saturday and Sunday was a mess. Mm-hmm. And then the Phillies took advantage of that. They're 42-29 now, 2.5 out of first place, and they're actually playing right now, and they're winning 2-1. So if they win tonight, they'll pick up a half a game as well. Who last week before the weekend they looked like they were kind of dead to rights for the most part, and the Mets kind of let them back in, which seems like they keep doing that every week. One team has a good week, the other team doesn't. But Phillies are 5-5. Yeah, that is baseball pretty much for the most part. Always going to do something weird. Phillies are 5-5 in their last 10, but they had a great weekend against Toronto. The Braves are 31-39, which is still a huge surprise to everybody. I feel 4-6 in the last 10 as well. And the one thing I'll get to after this is another shocking thing that I can't believe is even going on with this team. And the Nationals, 30-41. Not good either. They started out getting it. They moved into June in the right direction. We talked about them as well.
We did, yeah. That's another team we gave praise to, and they're
And I believe I know after the Mets played them last week, so that series ended Wednesday. They went in after that series was over. They only had like 15 runs in the month of June. Last time I checked, we're in the middle of June, so that's bad. It's really
bad. That's bad. It's bad.
And that'll show you. That's what happens. You're going to lose games if you can't score runs like that. So they're down there at 30-41. So they're a game and a half from the Braves, which they're not far from third, but it's not really going to make a difference because those teams aren't going to make the postseason unless they're going to
God, no.
And then the Marlins are sitting in last place per usual, 28-41. So they're just they're 5-5 in their last 10, and they're 2 games out of the win column from the Nationals. So that could change this week. Then the NL Central Cubs are still riding high at 44-28, playing great. Only a game behind the Mets now, so that race is getting a little tighter for the number 1 seed in the National League. Cubs just playing all around good baseball, very well coached. Of course, Craig Counsell is one of the better managers in the league, but they're doing everything right. Lineup is stacked for the most part, and showing why they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the postseason. Brewers had a really nice week. For the most part, they're 39-34 now, so they moved ahead of the Cardinals for second place. They're 5.5 out, which I feel that 2 through 4 here in this division they can jockey positions a lot, just based off of how they play. And the Brewers took advantage. Now they're in second place and in prime position for a bit of a wild card spot, which is good for them. Which we said they're always a team that figures it out. They never have a really bad year. They're always kind of in the mix until the end, even if they make it or not. And then the Cardinals, 37-35. They didn't have a good week at all, and actually a week and a half. They're 3-7 in the last 10. Not playing good baseball right now. Then the Cincinnati Reds, who I said they beat the Tigers pretty well over the weekend. They're at 37-35 now, so they're playing really well. And we said this is a team that had the makings of turning it around.
Yeah,
7-3 in their last 10, and you never know with this team. They have so many young players. Going to come up soon. Where mixing with those veterans, but they can be something. They can maybe not this year, but they can turn it around. And Terry Francona is another. He's a really good coach, a manager. So he got these guys prepared and ready to go, which is great. And then who we got? Oh, the Pirates. Why am I shocked? Last place, 29-44. They are a 500 team at home, so if they picked it up a little bit on the road, they would not be as terrible as they are. They are 6-4 in the last 10, so they're playing a little better as well. So that's good for them. And then the last division here, NL West, Dodgers at 43-29. They're doing their thing, usual. Giants are ahead of the Padres at 41-31, which wasn't the case last week, but they have 2 more wins than the Padres do, same amount of losses, so that could change, obviously. Now with Devers, that we said that shot in the arm for them, man. They can do something, and they can give the Dodgers some hell. I know they lost last night to them on Sunday Night Baseball, but Giants can definitely be a team to be reckoned with, and I would not be shocked if they go out there and make another move by the deadline. I would not be shocked by that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
Especially if they're in it, which right now they are in it.
They are.
Padres 39-31. They're 3 games out of first place, so they're in there. Have a shot as well. 4-6 in the last 10, so they're right in the wild card mix. And then the Diamondbacks 36-35, who have been playing better. But we said the injuries to the pitching staff will hurt them a little bit. Seems like they're figuring it out a little bit, though.
They are. Yeah, they're improving.
Yeah, 6.5 out of first. Could definitely make a little run if they win some games here and get into the postseason mix. and then the Rockies at 14 and 57. So that is a 197 winning percentage, a mere 29 games out of first place. So they're staying hot, the Rockies. Great job by them once again in Colorado. But Biggie, before we move off the MLB, there's something that I do have to tell you. And
Okay.
what do we got here?
So this is your chalked moment of the week.
There we go. So talking about the Rockies, they actually did win a game Sunday afternoon, 10-1, which I cannot believe they did that. That was probably the most amount of runs they scored in the past 3 weeks combined, but they did. They got it done against the Braves. Despite the Braves starter, Grant Holmes, striking out 15 batters in 6 and a third innings. So he got 19 outs, and 15 of them were from striking guys out. And they still lost 10-1. So the thing I wanted to talk about here was, so now I'm 3 for 3, and I hate doing this because I love baseball, you know that. So 3 for 3 in my chalk moments of the week. I believe, or maybe it was, maybe I got this wrong, but I believe it was 3 for 3 in terms of chalk moments from me being baseballs, which is not a good look.
No,
but Grant Holmes, guy that has been a journeyman pretty much for the most part for the Braves, but how do you 15 strikeouts from your starter and you lose by 9 runs, which had nothing to do with him. He only gave up like 2, I think, but the bullpen.
Yeah, but still, to the worst team in the MLB.
Yeah, 14 wins they have, and the Braves only scored 1 run against that putrid pitching staff. Like, that is a chalk moment. We gotta recognize that.
That is true.
Like you said, we're not gonna let anything slide here. We're just not going to let it
That's why
happen.
we have the segment.
Yeah, exactly. And
Look,
I wanted to keep that one brief, but definitely had to talk about it. But we'll stay with baseball, but the down to college, or the NCAA Men's Baseball World Series is happening as we speak, actually. And 8 teams, of course. There's huge underdogs in this World Series. One is eliminated, unfortunately, already. Actually, 2 have been eliminated. 2 of the underdogs have been eliminated, so there's 6 teams left. But Oregon State, Coastal Carolina, UCLA, Arkansas, LSU, top dogs that had great years, all ranked coming into this. And then teams like Arizona, Louisville, and a true Cinderella story, Murray State. Those are the 3 lower end teams that made it. They had great years. Got to give them credit when it's due. But Arizona was eliminated in 2 games. Murray State got no hit today. I know by Gage Wood, but weird name. 19 strikeouts and
a very great game.
Yeah, he pitched great, and he had future. I believe they said first or second round pick, so he's got a bright future ahead for him. He doesn't want that college career to end just yet, and he made sure it was not going to end on his start day. 19 strikeouts is insane in a college
World Series game. It's nuts.
And it's only I believe there was the 3rd no hitter in the men's college World Series history. So that does not happen a lot. And that was the earlier game. That was the earlier game today. The 7 p.m. game here tonight was LSU and UCLA, both teams that won their opening round game. And LSU's up 5-3, but it actually says a rain delay, so that's not good for the
not good.
scheduling. Never good for scheduling. But Coastal Carolina is honestly, I not like my favorite to win, but they got 2 wins already, and I really like the way they play. Just full of energy, especially me being someone that obviously I haven't played at this level of college baseball, but playing in college and different levels, I've seen it. The more energy that you bring to the game in college makes your team it can win you a game, and it doesn't only have to be the guys in the dugout, because that, I believe, is the biggest myth out there, that the guys in the dugout have to bring the energy. If you have the guys if you have the guys on the field doing it, and then you got the guys in the dugout doing it, that's a perfect match, and that'll get you. Of course, you have to be talented and have a coach that knows what they're doing, and that goes a long way as well.
Yeah,
but Coastal is one of those teams that they play in one of those maybe lesser conferences, but they still get the respect. But maybe at this stage of like, oh, we don't think these guys are going to win. They didn't play anybody. Like an SEC team can be saying that, but Coastal just proving everybody wrong, which is crazy to say, even though they're the 13th team in the nation. But they beat Oregon State 6-2, and then they opened up Friday with a 7-4 win against Arizona. The one thing I wanted to say, which shows how competitive this field has been, and I know you'd appreciate this, is all these games have been by 5 runs or less, which shows.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
These teams that are there are meant to be there. Honestly,
Yeah,
that
right.
if we're going to be that close, and then we haven't even hit the best part of this yet. I said we had to talk about this just because this is the end, obviously, of this year, 2025 season for these guys. And some of these guys, this is the best thing in any college sport. But some of these guys are gonna a month from now could be working in an office job, and some of these
Yeah,
guys,
literally, yeah.
some of these guys are gonna be throwing 98 miles an hour in a minor league game. So this is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like,
Or a men's league.
yeah, or men's league. Probably it could have been. It could be a men's league. But this is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Even at this Division One, even at the Division One level, some of these guys will never play again. They will never pick up a
yeah.
bat, throw a
Mhm.
baseball ever again. So this is means a lot to these guys, and it shows with the emotion that they're going out there with, and it's great to see. Really great. Just
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
whole great event, and it's really great. But Biggie, I do have some bad news for you though this week.
Oh, no. Is it time for bad news for Biggie?
Oh, yes, it is. Once again, I just really don't understand the NCAA, man. I understand in terms of contracts, whatever. But Livy Dunn, who was a star of her own at LSU, of course, but her boyfriend, of course, is Paul Skeens, a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who went to LSU as well. So she supported the LSU team, who was in the College World Series, like I just said, by wearing a Skeens. It was Skeens on the back and then LSU in the front. So I don't think anybody thought there would be anything wrong with that. But
Yeah,
supposedly,
no.
I did not know she still had an NIL deal in place. I thought that would be over by now, but she still does. And supposedly, she violated the policy because it was unauthorized jersey to wear. But honestly, come on, can the NCAA stop? Like,
Oh, oof, mud on NCAA. Come on.
really, like you're right. Like, can the NCAA please stop? You're gonna do things about
No.
you're gonna go after someone wearing a jersey, whatever, but you're gonna let the transfer portal run rampant. You got coaches texting players, whoever in this
Yes.
transfer portal. You're gonna let this happen. You're gonna do
Okay,
that, but
yes.
you're not. You're gonna let those things slide, but you're not gonna do. You're gonna say, "Oh, you violated NIL policy." Come on,
Yes.
players
Oh
that
my
are getting
God.
NIL money that people don't even know about. This has to
Thank you.
stop. This has to stop.
All these coaches can do all this tampering and stuff, but you're going to complain about Livy Dunn wearing a Paul Skeens jersey with LSU on it. Unbelievable. Now, I didn't play any major level of college football. I played Division III, but my father played Division I up at Syracuse, and I've mentioned before the transfer portal and NIL has helped Syracuse. They're one of the teams that does it right. Fran Brown takes advantage of the transfer portal. He doesn't tamper or anything like that. I hope not. But
They probably all do, but
they probably all do it
don't.
to some extent. But some
Yeah.
are more than others. Some go really far with it, and it's to a point where it's unfair, and the NCAA kind of brushes it off, especially if it's a big team, maybe an SEC team or a Big Ten team.
Yeah.
Like I said, the NIL and transfer portal has benefited my college football team very greatly. It changed the entire culture of Syracuse as a university, like football-wise. We're actually respected now as a football program after this past season. And Fran Brown is actually one of the more well-known coaches now, head coaches in college football. You know what I mean? So, from where the program was a couple of years ago, this is awesome. But they let so much go with all these other coaches and everything. And to complain about Livy Dunn doing that is ridiculous. I think it's absurd. And like I said, I didn't play Division I played D3. There's barely any NIL money at Division 3, even especially at the college. I don't think there was. I don't know of anyone from my college that had one at Wilkes University. Shout out, go Colonels. Yeah, I just think again, the NIL and transfer portal is doing good, but it is also very, 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 very bad in a lot of ways. And that's an example of it right there, especially when you compare it to other things that happen and no one bats an eye.
Yeah, you got to have your priorities straight, I should say.
Yep, and clearly they don't.
No,
Clearly they don't, because it gets out of hand.
Yeah, disappointing, but it is what it is. We'll move on. But before we hit the NFL, I think there's one thing you want to talk about, actually.
Yes, and this is my choked moment of the week. And again, I think the choked moment for me, the first one was a whole organization, and we're going at another organization, different sport, but we're going at an organization as a whole. The Cincinnati Bengals, year after year, they have issues with keeping players, contracts, and people think they're being cheap, and then they could be. Many players are they're not happy with their contracts. We saw it with T. Higgins. He requested a trade last offseason. And now we have this whole thing with Trey Hendrickson wanting out. And then this is actually kind of shocking. We were talking about this before the show started. Your first round draft pick, Shamar Stewart, he's still not signed to a contract. He's your first round pick. What are you doing? Like, seriously, you have players wanting to leave left and right, and you draft your first round draft pick. He's not even signed after minicamp. What is going on? So the Cincinnati Bengals, once again, not doing anything for Joe Burrow. Not doing much to keep their best players around. And it's a yearly occurrence, and we're seeing it again with Trey Hendrickson wanting out. So that's my chalk moment. The Cincinnati Bengals do better financially. Get your money in check.
I totally agree. And actually, we'll skip around. We'll stay on the Bengals here. I feel like there's a little more to talk about. And one thing I wanted to actually pick your brain on before we get into someone else that we definitely have to.
Yeah, his brain's been picked.
Yeah, very true. But staying with the Bengals, like you just said, you have a first-round pick, Shamar Stewart, who's holding in because he was at the facility. And there's actually a video I saw that he tried to get a drink from whoever the trainers are out there, whatever, and they refused him, which I feel is messed up. But whatever
my first round, and he can't even get a drink during practice. What is going on?
Because he refuses to play. Whatever the situation that the contract.
He didn't sign him.
Yeah, I know. Whatever is going on with that is we don't know, obviously. But the thing I wanted to say was, so this kid can not sign the contract, and he can go back into the draft for next year.
Yeah.
If you were Stewart, all right. So now, before you know it, it's going to be July, because now it kind of feels like they take like a 2 or 3 week break before they get really ready to go. The Bengals probably aren't going to do anything really right now. I would say
no.
They would settle that in 3
lose
weeks.
Guys.
Yeah, we could say that. And so then you're hitting July, and you still don't have a contract. At that point, if that was me, I would say, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not going to play these stupid games with you guys. I'll just go back into the draft. I'll train, which can be not always go the way you want it, but I'll train. I'll go back in the draft. I'm sure I'll get drafted in the first round again next year. I'll do whatever I have to do to get to that point. Would you do that? Would you do that, right? Or would you say, okay, we really got to settle this because it's getting to the point where getting deeper into the offseason, which what's the point I'm trying to get to is this is now getting to the point in the offseason where once you get back from this 3 week break, there's no nonsense. You have to be ready to go. And if you're not ready to go at that point, then you're going to be behind, and that can screw you up for September. Because whatever you're doing, whatever work you're putting in July and August when people aren't watching, the product that goes out there in September is what you did before you got to that point.
Let's say that is the biggest thing with football. It's all about your offseason. It's what you do in the offseason. That is what matters pretty much, ultimately in the end. Whatever you put, the work you put in the offseason shows when week 1 comes around at all levels. You know what I mean? Like if you don't do anything in the offseason or you don't properly, you can't get a team together, you can't get the offense straight or defense straight, you're not going to win football games. Plain and simple. So if I'm Stewart, I am trying to figure out, okay, what am I doing here? You draft me first round and you're not going to sign me after minicamp. You're going to do all this stuff. Players are wanting out. If I was him, I would want to maybe stay with the Bengals so he wouldn't have to go a full season, right after he has no more eligibility left in college, so he can't play. No. He's just going to be training and waiting for next year's draft. I look at it that way and be like, if I were him, I would stay just because I wouldn't want to have to do all that. But you also have to look at it from, these guys are obviously playing football because they love football. Don't get me wrong. They are. But at this level, this is your job. This is like, this is your job. This is what you're doing to make a living. You know what I mean? So if I'm him, I need to make my living. I need a contract. I'm not just going to play for, and not know how much money I'm going to be making because this is my job. This is my career. It's like, he's obviously playing for the love of the game, which, all those guys are grateful for their opportunities no matter where they end up, but they're also doing it as their job and their career. You know what I mean? So they need money. Yeah. And if I don't know what I'm getting and I'm getting the cold shoulder, I would want out. But you know what I mean? If I were him, I also wouldn't want to go a full year without doing anything and no playing. Like just straight up like weight training and not like, field work and stuff, like doing all that. It's great. It'll keep you in shape and all that, but actual game experience is going to matter more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's two ends that I would lean more towards staying with the Bengals just so you don't miss out on a year and have to go back into the draft without actually playing a full season, because that can lower your draft stock too. You know what I mean? That can, like, you were a first round pick out of college, but if you go a full season without playing at all, you're going to fall. You're not going to be a first round pick again. I can tell you that. You know what I mean? That's just reality. So you have to look at it both ways. Like, is he going to want to hold out and, possibly risk his draft stock, but he's probably guaranteed an actual NFL career, next season? Or do I stick it out and try and figure out a contract so I can, still play? You know what I mean? So I don't really know. I'm kind of in the middle on it. I can see it going either way.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about. 100%.
Yeah.
There's a lot to think about in terms of the Bengals and him, but hopefully it gets resolved because he was good in college, but he didn't have. I don't think he got to where he thinks he can get to, and
right.
just because he didn't, it didn't seem like like his numbers weren't there really, but the potential is there, and the experience, like he didn't have that much game experience. So now think about not having a ton of game experience in college and not playing for the year, which I totally understand what you're saying, but it's also like sometimes I feel it gets to like a disrespect level. It's like, okay, you want to treat me that way? Like that's what I was trying to say. You want to treat me a certain way? I'm not doing it. I'll just I can bet on myself to get drafted again next year. But you all know how the NFL works. It's a business, and there's going to be teams that be like, oh, he did this to that team. We don't want to deal with that, so we're just not even going to give him a chance. It goes either way. It goes either way. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot to deal with. And then, like you said, with Trey Hendrickson, that's another thing, man. This guy is one of he's one of like the model like citizen type players that you think of in the NFL. And he's another guy you're disrespecting. Like I don't know what is up with this organization for a team that has so many talented players.
I know, and you have arguably a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, you have the quarterback that every team would die to have on their team, and you're messing around with the other parts that helps him. Like that's what I'm saying, because this defense stinks. This defense stinks with these two. If you take Stewart and Hendrickson off a defense that's
even worse,
it's the worst. It is the worst defense in the league at that point. Because with those two, I would say they're all at the bottom. Now you take those two out, the worst defense in the league. I would argue it with anyone any day. I rather put 10 or 11 napkins out there. They would play better defense than what the Bengals would put out there. I'm serious. Like that's how I feel about that.
I get it. I agree with you too. It's just a funny comparison there, the napkins.
Yeah, 11 napkins would put up better production than what they would put out there with that defense. And like I know they're NFL players, but come on. They stunk last year and they got worse defensively. And then you're messing with the two guys that can help you. It's just stupid. What is what it is. And you have a quarterback like Burrow's gonna have to. We talked about this jokingly, but he's actually going to have to put up 45 points a game if they want.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for them to win games, he's going to have to. With the way it's going, yeah,
it's a joke. And you're a team that actually has a quarterback. There's so many teams in the NFL
that would die to have a quarterback like Joe Burrow.
Die to have a quarterback named Joe Burrow who can do what he does. And you're doing these stupid things. It is so dumb. Talking about someone that actually did another dumb thing. Former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown, once again in the news for the wrong reasons. Since the moment he left the NFL, which was an infamous way, quitting on the Tampa Bay Bucks in the middle of a game. I was at that game. It's kind of
funny. I was gonna say, were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
It was at MetLife. It was against the Jets.
Yeah, yep. It was, and he sat on the other side. He was walking on the other side of off the field, so we all thought it was just like a random guy, just like because he took all of his equipment off.
Yeah, he took all his stuff off. Yeah,
I was like, oh, it was just a random guy just walking on the field. I don't know, security will get him. And then we see on our phones and everything is like Antonio Brown just quit the Bucks mid-game. I was like, oh, okay, something's going on with him. And then ever since then, like things have just not gone his way. Which I know we're joking about it, but he definitely has that. It's pretty much been confirmed. He said it.
Oh yeah.
And there's a number of different things that he's done off the field that can pretty much say that he has that. Which like obviously we don't have it, so we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
Some of these things that you're doing, it's like okay, I think you may be using it a little bit as an excuse, but he's wanted for attempted murder, and he's also tweeting at the same time, which I don't understand how that's happening.
CTESPN.
He's CTESPN literally says whatever he wants, whenever he wants, but he's also tweeting. He put a tweet out there today, and they still haven't gotten him. So I would love to know where he is, and if Antonio Brown's watching the show, maybe leave a comment to us, be like, I'm here, so they can come get you, because like you can't just go around firing a weapon, like you can't do that.
Yeah, no. Oh, I have CTE. No, you can't.
No, you can't do that, man. And it's just I feel bad just because of like what he was at. He was so good, and like his attitude like before he left the Steelers was like he was one of those guys in the league that everyone respected. They liked him.
I know,
in
yeah.
Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden, just like something switched. I don't know if you remember the hit he took against the Bengals. It was a few years back, but he took a vicious hit. I believe it was Vontez Burfict who destroyed a lot of people's careers. Yeah, he destroyed a lot of people's careers, and Antonio Brown took a mean hit against him, and I think it was a playoff game. And after that, it kind of feels like everything has been off the rails for him. I know there's been a number of times he's been involved in police disputes and stuff like that, and it feels you feel bad for the guy, but it's also like you're at an event with so many people. What if he actually did kill someone? Like attempted murder is no joke, obviously, but what if he actually killed someone? Like, you know,
I would say, what if he actually took someone's life? You know what I mean?
For no, like, just because he said the guy was trying to rob him, whatever. I like, listen.
Come on.
What are we doing, AB? Come on, man. It's just unfortunate. And then the best part was I saw like last week when like Rodgers was ever saying he was playing for the Steelers, Le'Veon Bell was like adding him on Twitter. Let's run it back with Pittsburgh. Don't think he's gonna be running it back anytime soon.
No,
he's running away right now. No one knows where he is. So
he's gonna be playing longest yard.
Yeah, by himself at this point. If they get him. The NFL is always very interesting. And mini camp just wrapped up. So before you know it, the best time of the year will be here in September. Training camp. And of course, before that, training camp, preseason, and then the best time of the year, regular season football, where all the hard work goes into that. And that's when they show it off. Yeah. They showed off what they can do, and it'll be fun. But the last thing, actually, no, not the last thing. I didn't want to skip this. How you doing?
How you doing?
Do that. All right. How you doing?
How you doing?
So we got that, and then we got the NBA, which the finals game actually just kicked off, but we won't hit that one yet. Biggie, we'll start off with you once again. Pretty much you're doing the same boat as what you were last week, but I think it's best we got to talk about it just to make sure we feel good. Yeah, just a little checkup, like go to the doctor, same thing. How you doing, doctor?
So we'll start with the only team that's actually currently playing right now, the New York Yankees. Like I said, a little bit of a skid, big skid after a nice series against Kansas City. Hopefully they can pick it up a little bit like we talked about. We talked about this earlier, but, you know, some of those mistakes that they're making, you know, for their standards, they shouldn't be doing it as frequently as they are. You know what I mean? They got some guys back off injury, and they kind of have a somewhat like Stanton just came back. Chisholm came back not too long ago. You know, so it's like you got to start to, you know, consistently play up to your standard, and they haven't. You know what I mean? So hopefully they can pick it up. Nothing new on Donovan Mitchell, I don't think, right?
I haven't heard anything on
I haven't heard anything either about Donovan Mitchell. So Cavs, and then we know Garland's going to be out. The Eagles, I mean, not much to say there. Saquon Barkley is in his prime. I saw an article this morning about him wanting to get the most out of his career right now because he claimed he was in his prime, which I agree. He absolutely is. Like I say it, I've said it every episode. The Eagles have at least one or two more Super Bowls left with that squad. They're going to keep that squad around. It's going to change a little bit. It has already, but you know they're going to be consistently good for a while. And it's a great time to be an Eagles fan. Let me tell you, it's a great time. They're really good. Flyers, nothing new. They haven't done. I mean, hockey's kind of, you know, we're in the finals right now. Not too much going on. So, you know, not too much going on. Still the draft, their spot. So, nothing new. And then Syracuse football. I have to watch it still, but Fran Brown went on and talked with Adam Brenneman. You know him?
Yeah.
Great guy. I love his content. And Fran Brown talked with him. I have to watch some of that. I've been meaning to because I'm a big fan of Adam, and obviously. It's my coach, you know, it's my team's coach, my guy, Fran. So, you know, I got to watch that. And nothing new with Syracuse basketball. I don't really touch on them too much. Yeah, and if I want to throw in a little bonus here, the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders AAA team, local team, for me at least, not for you, but for me, the Yankees AAA team, I'm a fan of them technically. I don't go to many games. I actually spend more time at other teams' stadium, which JD knows.
Yeah.
They have very bad attendance right now.
Oh.
They're averaging about 2,000 fans a game.
Oh. That's really
like a little bit more, but, you know.
Still.
It's horrible. For the Yankees prospects, horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of minor league baseball, I'm going to plug this. I will be taking a trip on Thursday, actually, because I'm off from work. So I'll be taking a trip I'll be taking a trip to Wilmington, Delaware, and checking out the Wilmington Blue Rocks, the single A affiliate, or single A affiliate of the high A affiliate of the Washington Nationals. So that'll be Stadium 103 for me in minor league ballpark number 9, I want to say. So that's coming up this week. There'll be some clips on the channel, as you know, you viewers of me know, and JD knows. When I'm traveling, there's always that's the big part of the channel for me, the sporting event clips. So yeah, that's about it. So JD, you want to get into it?
Yeah, I got you. One thing I did want to say though, with the Rail Riders, like you just said, the prospects, like in terms of like, all right, you get your innings in, whatever at bats, but like I don't think they realize, or I hope they realize what they're getting into when they get to the big leagues. Like that's
I know. Yeah,
not a good, not good for them that they're not really the stadium wise, like fans and not interaction. That's not good.
I was gonna say nobody really goes anymore. I don't either. I'm not helping, but you know, nobody really goes, and you'd be surprised. Like around here, like even a couple of years ago, it was a big thing to do because there's nothing really else to do. You know, from going to college around here, it's not much to do. You know what I mean? So the Rail Riders baseball in the summer, they're fun to go up to, but again, prices there are also really high too. Tickets prices are decently high. Parking is outrageous, and the food prices it's $11 for a bucket of crab fries, and I mean, parking's like $7 now.
Yeah, for minor leagues. Yeah,
for AAA minor league baseball.
Yeah,
and especially for how bad your attendance is, got to do something.
Yeah,
come on,
exactly. Got to help the fans out. Maybe you lower the prices. Some people.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same situation. Obviously, the only team that I like is the Mets that are playing right now, and I will finish with them last. The one thing I did just want to give an update in terms of like what the Knicks are doing and with the coach. They're interviewing Mike Brown and Taylor. I think it's Taylor Jenkins. All right, I don't know. I'm not really excited about either one of those guys. Mike Brown has coached, yes, for years, but doesn't excite me at all. Has got fired. He coached LeBron. I don't like years ago. All right, I don't know. I'm not really. It does nothing for me. No, doesn't move the needle at all. And I really hope. I know they're interviewing him. That obviously you can interview anybody. I really hope that is not what they do. And then Taylor Jenkins was someone that intrigues me a little more, but I'm still not feeling it. Was the Memphis Grizzlies head coach for the past few years. I think he had a problem with like John Morant, a few of the other players, so they fired him right before the season ended. Getting fired in April in the NBA is not something that happens a lot right before the playoffs with the playoff team. So that definitely
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, something was going on there, so I wouldn't want that here. But I don't know what they're. I don't think they have a plan, and it's making me a little nervous. I gotta say, it is making me a little nervous. I don't know. There's not really many options out there. And if I was the Knicks, honestly, like Mark Jackson, I know who hasn't coached in a very, very long time, but that's a guy that I feel can get this Knicks team to a level that you want to get them to. He's a guy that played here. He's a hometown guy through and through, and then he also coached the Warriors right before Steve Kerr took over. But he built the foundation for Steve Kerr. I'm not saying Steve Kerr's not a good coach, but he built the foundation for Steve Kerr to just swoop right in and win championships, which Mark Jackson could arguably win those championships. You don't know that. So I feel like Mark Jackson, I know he's been a guy that kind of got blackmailed in the NBA. I don't know what happened, but I feel like want to give him a chance. Let's do it. Like, because none of these other guys are really impressing me. Then they thought that the idea of trying to get a coach from another team was going to work. That miserably failed so far.
Very much so.
Yeah, 0 for 6, I think, in requests, which I would do the same thing. We talked about that last week. Don't understand why they think that would work. So
I still understand why they fired Thibodeau to begin with.
yeah. I'm trying to move on from that, like just because they did it and you can't come back from it. But it's also you think about the guys that are out there. Just no one is really like no one to me. I feel is an upgrade to him.
I
It just
agree.
I don't know. It is what it is. And then another thing I know that we'll talk about this when we get to the NBA. But Kevin Durant was actually interested in coming to the Knicks, and the Knicks said they were not interested in him. So I was shocked by that. I'm very shocked by that. Maybe
What are they
it's
doing?
maybe still a little bit of anger that happened before COVID when he decided to go to the Nets instead. Maybe it's part of that. I don't know. Maybe James Dolan, the owner, stepped in and is like, nope, we don't want. He didn't want to come here the first time. We don't want him now. But I don't
Yeah.
know. But something happened there, so they're not interested. We'll get to him, KD, in a little bit, and then yeah, my other teams, Jets, taking a break now from minicamp, but they said Justin Fields looked good. We'll see
It's
it.
good to hear. It's promising for you.
Yeah. I still don't believe it though, but hopefully he's good. I'm not gonna sit here and be one of those that just gonna be miserable about the Jets, but I have no expectations for them. So if they do something good for me, good. But all right, at this
Yeah,
point.
right.
And then we talked about the Rangers before trading Kreider away. Nothing really in college with these two teams, but my two teams, St. John's and Notre Dame. Nothing really going on there. And then with the Mets. So I know I may sound like one of those constant complainers, but I do have to say the starting rotation is getting me a little nervous now because Griffin Canning was great for the first 2.5 months, I would say, 2 months. And now he stinks. He's going back to his normal Griffin Canning self. That was his whole career, 6 ERA type of guy. Tyler McGill, not good. He looked terrible against the Rays on Saturday, and Canning did yesterday. They both looked awful against the Rays. And,
Yeah.
and then Senga's hurt now, so he's going to be out for I believe a month. They said, but he hurt his hamstring. So and he was great. He had the lowest ERA in the National League. So that's three starters that were great, and now one's hurt and two are just been terrible.
Yeah.
Sean Maya has been rehabbing, and he's been getting lit up. So that's nice, right? That is one of the guys that was great last year, getting lit up in rehab starts. So that's great
Yeah.
by 20-year-olds. Frankie Montas, who was a signing of free agency, he had was supposed to go 5 or 6 innings, and he pitched 3 innings. I believe he gave up 8 or 9 hits and like 7 runs, 3 home runs. So that's nice. So the two guys that are supposed to come back into the starting rotation have looked awful in their rehab starts. So hopefully they can figure it out because McGill and Canning have to get out of the rotation. Then we got Blackburn, who is taking Senga's spot, who looked terrible in his relief outings. So I don't want to be that guy, but like the Mets right now, the rotation make me a little nervous. The
Yeah.
only steady guys you can rely on is Peterson and Clay Holmes, and Clay Holmes is the guy that you don't know at this, but then he's hit his innings total from last year already, and it's only June, so that's another thing you got to watch out for. So I know this is something that everyone was saying that the Mets got to watch out for. The rotation can fizzle out quickly, and it seems like right now they're all fizzling out together at the
Yeah.
not at the right time. So they gotta something's got to go right for this team because the rest of the lineup feels like they've settled in a little bit. Vientos is on a rehab assignment. He should be back within a week. That helps the lineup tremendously. Um, McNeil's actually hitting now. I can't believe that. And smiling. McNeil's hitting and smiling, something you haven't seen since 2019. So that's
Yeah.
great.
So that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
Smiling.
a lot of good, a lot of good things coming from the offensive side, but the pitching staff, starting rotation, especially, a lot to be desired. Relievers, the bullpen's been all right, but yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest because it's making me a little nervous. I'm not going to start like getting really like doubting it, but the
No.
next 10 games are against the Braves and the Phillies. Braves aren't good, but they always give the Mets fits, and the Phillies have been good teams. So they got to.
Phillies Mets, like I think I said it episode or two ago, always competitive series. They're great series, especially the
Yeah,
last couple of years. They've been awesome.
100%. The playoff series was great. The
Uh-huh.
regular season last year, and then this weekend's going to be a good series. But then they got the Braves for 7 games in between that. And the Braves, listen, we said that they're having a rough year, but they have talent where they can beat any team any given day. Which obviously any team
Right,
can.
especially an
Braves
in division team like that.
rival,
You know
yeah,
what I
it's a
mean?
rival that's having a down year. Maybe like okay, maybe beating the Mets can get them going. So hopefully that's
Yeah.
not the case, but we'll see what happens. But I'm glad I got that one out. But the last thing we'll hit here before we actually get into the NBA Finals, we'll hit these three little side pieces that came out all pretty much Saturday and Sunday. First one yesterday, Desmond Bane, who was the number 2-3 option on the Grizzlies, traded to the Orlando Magic for 4 first-round picks. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who I did not know was on the Magic. Cole Anthony, and yeah, that's it. Cole Anthony, KCP, and 4 first-round picks. I feel for the Magic. Yeah, Cole Anthony, who hasn't really panned out pretty much.
Yeah, no, he really hasn't. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, he's supposed to be really good, and he hasn't. He really hasn't done anything in the NBA. Someone that was good in college, but not as good as he was.
Yeah, really good in college. I remember.
Yeah, and then it kind of hasn't gotten better for him. His shooting is a problem, so that's why. Hopefully, him going to Memphis can maybe help him out a lot. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the thing I wanted to get to is we'll get to both sides of this, and then another aspect I think that definitely will contribute to it. But for Memphis, I feel I don't know why. Like, listen, 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, I would do that in a heartbeat, just because Desmond Bane is a good player, but not four first-round picks worth of it.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. And the thing I was gonna say was, so Memphis is a team that made the playoffs. They had 50 wins or close to it. The Western Conference is a juggernaut. Maybe they feel, okay, this is a guy that we can sell high on and regroup from there, just because this group we can that once again we see what this group of players we have, what their potential is, what their ceiling is. We're not going to get to a championship. Maybe these 4 first-round picks, we can use them for us or trade them. Is that what you feel about Memphis? What do you think about that? Like that, maybe that's why they did that. They feel they're dealing with this group, and that's kind of it for them.
Yeah, I mean, like you know a little more about the NBA than I do, but I can see that being their motive there because still like I personally the West is pretty solid still, I think personally, and the Grizzlies are a team like that, playoff team. Obviously had some issues coaching wise and all that, but they're a team that is still solid. You know what I mean? They're a solid team. They're always up in the playoff race and all that. So yeah, I think that's that's I'd say that's probably the way they're looking at it for sure.
Yeah, and which makes sense. And then for Orlando, I feel like we talked about this. I think last week and the week.
Last week we did, I think. Yeah.
The Eastern Conference, and we said few teams that we think can make a move. Eastern Conference is going to be wide open next year.
Yeah.
Orlando was one of those teams we said they were like a 500 type team. They make a move, you never know. They can spread up in the standings. Desmond Bane is the type of player they actually needed. They needed someone to help Paolo Banchero out, and this could be a nice, really nice number 2, number 3 piece for Orlando. And I don't think they're done just yet. I feel like if they make a move like this aggressively, I feel like they can do something else, which is something that Orlando fans should be happy about. I mean,
yeah,
for them.
Yeah, this is one of those teams that we said, like, could be the next one up, and I think this move can help them.
Yeah, 100%. And I wrote here, like we said, leading to bigger trades. Yes, in terms of these teams, yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the NBA, usually, like, the lesser trades, which isn't really is a lesser trade, it was a big trade, but the lesser name maybe can lead to the upper, like, echelon type players getting traded. And I feel that's definitely going to happen. And one guy that they've said is going to be traded within the next couple of days, and with the finals almost being over, it should happen within the next week or two. KD, Kevin Durant. It seems like it's going to happen very, very soon. It seems like the top 3 teams have been announced pretty much for the most part. The Miami Heat, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets are the favorites from the reports. So out of those 3, what do you think? Who do you think he fits best? I feel one team you can rule out very easily. I don't even know why they're even considered, or why KD would consider even going to them. They're not really in a spot to win at that level, if you know what I'm saying. And then there's one team I feel that's left out, which I don't know. Maybe you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. I feel there's one team left out that can easily be swapped in for the Heat.
I don't know why the Heat are there. I saw that. I'm like, wait, what?
I don't get that. But there's one team that I feel is definitely much more suited and would fit KD better. But what do you think? Do you think who do you think he's? We'll take out the Heat, Spurs or the Rockets. Who do you think he's better suited to play for and be like more beneficial to? I should say
San Antonio Spurs. That's my answer.
Okay,
definitely. That's the guy you need for the Spurs. I think personally.
Okay, so that's pretty much what I was gonna say. I just feel the difference between the Rockets and the Spurs is the Spurs have more mouths to feed in terms of needing the basketball.
Yes.
Yeah, and Houston is a team that has a great like surrounding cast where if Durant steps in there, he's gonna get whatever touches he needs without feeling he has to force it to someone else.
Yeah.
With Spurs, I feel like they maybe have to do with the Aaron Fox, Wemby, a
Yeah.
potential Dylan Harper, KD coming in there as well. We talked about that a few weeks ago. That's a lot of mouths to feed, which they can definitely make it work because that'll be great to have that situation there. So I feel yes for the team. I feel the team. I can agree with you. He fits the Spurs better, but for personnel, like player, like on court wise, Rockets. And
Yeah. Okay.
the one other team I wanted to say was Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know if you can
Mm,
agree with me on that, but
okay.
him and Anthony Edwards had a really nice connection in the Olympics last year. Anytime they filmed any video interviews, it was always them two, like right like this, close, very close together. And I feel Randall's a free agent. They have a few other guys that could be moved. Durant going in there with Edwards, and this is a team that made the Western Conference Finals 2 years
I was
in a
just
row.
gonna
They're
say
not
this is a
that
team
far
that
away. They're really
yeah.
not that far away. Replacing replacing Randall with KD, huge upgrade. And
I was
then
gonna say yeah.
depends on who you have to trade. That's the thing for Minnesota. But supposedly he's not interested in Minnesota. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
I just thought I thought that would be a good one. KD and Ant Man just they would score easily
I was gonna
every night.
say, yeah, that would be a good fit for him too. I think. I think that's a team that if they get to KD, that might be their way of getting to the finals or even winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're right there. That's what I'm saying. Like that would be the piece I feel that gets them to the next level. But a lot of news going on in the NBA, and KD at the age of 37 still considered like a hot topic in the league. It
Uh huh.
just
Uh
shows how
huh.
good
Yeah,
he is.
I know.
Like,
Uh huh.
it's like it feels like every 2 or 3 years there's just like something going on with this guy, and uh, he'll definitely be traded though. This isn't even a fake
Yeah.
rumor. He's definitely going to be on a new team. One other guy who maybe a potential teammate and actually a reunion for these two. Steven Adams agrees to a 3-year, $39 million contract with extension with the Rockets.
Hmm.
A guy that's a really a big time leader, just always consistent. And
I
I
would say,
say
yeah, that's
reunion.
a guy that you like to have on your team.
Oh yeah, and a guy I was gonna say a reunion with KD,
Yeah.
Thunder days. So maybe that could be. Oh, KD saw that and could be like, force my way to Houston. You never know,
Yeah.
right? That's how the league works. And I know you can agree with me on that. The
Yeah.
league
I agree. Yeah.
NBA is one of those leagues, 100% that they need that. That oh, this guy my
Connection.
buddy's over here. Okay, I'll go there. Like that.
Yeah. Uh huh.
That could be something, and maybe that's maybe one of the reasons why
He
Houston.
goes
I
to
know.
Houston if he does.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens. But the last topic, which was our main topic, but I felt like it would be better to hold off, was the NBA Finals is tied up 2-2. It's been pretty much an epic series from game one to now. Pacers uh, kind of let a game slip away in game
Yeah.
four, had a nice lead at home, and they um, let it go. SGA had a great fourth quarter. I think that the underdog label, throw it out. That no more, no
Yeah.
more
I wouldn't
Pacers.
consider them the underdog anymore.
No, not at all, right? Come on, just the way they
No.
played is
The way that,
no
yeah,
underdog role anymore. That one they've outgrown the underdog role.
I
Uh,
agree.
and then Halliburton, I feel I don't know. I want you to talk about this a little more, but it feels like watching these games and just overall the whole year. As the Pacers go, Halliburton goes. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I forgot the stat off the top of my head, but it was Halliburton. He scores 20 plus. They're like 9-1 in the postseason. When he
Yeah.
doesn't, they struggle a little
And I
bit.
say he's their like you just said, he's their guy. He's if he plays good, the whole team does well. If he doesn't, then they don't play well.
Yeah, and right
And
now,
so,
actually, a live update of the game. He's not playing well, and they're down
yeah,
by
and
10
they're down
points.
29. They're down by 10 right now, 29-19.
How much time have we got? It's the
A
first quarter
minute
still, right?
56 in the first quarter.
Minute 56. Okay, so we're almost done with the first quarter. And if people that watch our show every Monday night, if you're a fan of the show, you want to root for this series to go 7 games because we have a nice treat for you next week. We don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it, but if the say that obviously one of the teams has to win tonight, but
Yeah.
whoever doesn't win tonight wins the next game. We have a nice treat for you guys coming up next Monday. It would be Game 7. So hopefully,
Yeah.
for our fans and viewers, that's the case. But if not, the best team will win, and of course that is what it is. But
Yeah.
pull the stats up here. Halliburton, yeah, not doing good. 0 points so far. Benedict Mathurin, man, they just throw him in off the bench randomly. He has his moments, but game 3 he was huge for them, 27 points, and then SGA, of course, 7 points in 6 minutes. He's something else, man. I think he has like, isn't he like top 5 in like the most points scored? I think in his first ever 4 games, like in the finals or something crazy like
I
that,
think
right?
so, yeah. It's some like crazy stat like that. I did see that.
It's insane, right? Like, how is he this good? And if I the Clippers trading him is still mind-boggling to me. It's
Yeah, because
crazy.
look at him.
It's actually crazy how good he is, and
Mhm.
it feels like he's getting better. But the
Yeah.
Thunder, honestly though, I feel like the Thunder do have they've had the pressure on them the entire series of winning just because of who they're
Yes.
playing. And, like, but now
Because they're playing Indiana. Yeah. Of course.
yeah, but now I feel it's changed a little bit just because the Pacers have shown they can punch back with them. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like now the Thunder, okay, we're a team I know regular season doesn't matter when you get to the postseason, but you had 18 more regular season wins than this team. You pretty much breezed by the 3 teams you had to play to get to this point, and now you're in a legit fight. You can't lose. You really cannot
No.
lose if you're the Thunder.
Nope.
You cannot lose this one. Uh,
I
and then
agree.
game 5 at home, you cannot let game 5 slip away. And if you lose
No.
game 5, sorry to them, but I feel they lose tonight, the Pacers are going to win game 6 and they're going to be the NBA champions, which is crazy to say, but
I know. Yeah, I know. The Indiana Pacers. How about that?
it is crazy. But we're perfect. We're hitting the end of the first quarter of the finals, so we have about 10 minutes left here. Once that's done, everyone can go enjoy game 5. But the
Yep.
last thing we got here is the pick'em for this week. So last week we lost in a close fashion. So I believe we are 1-2 or 1-3? No, 1-2, right?
Yeah.
We are 1-2. We're 1-2 now, but we lost both games very closely. I know it was hockey and oh no, it was basketball, and because the Pacers won game 1, and then baseball last week where the Padres lost by 1 run in the thrilling extra inning game.
Yep.
But tonight's pick'em will be game 6 of the Stanley Cup final, just because it's tomorrow night. So will the Oilers live another day because they're down 3-2 and force a game 7, or will the Panthers repeat as champion, which is something we talked about before? We kind of spoiled our picks a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go first. Give off your little spiel here of
Yeah.
what you think. And your notes are short, but I feel you have a little more to.
Yeah, I'm more of a
Right off
Yeah.
off the dome. I get it.
So I think Florida gets it done. They win their second Stanley Cup in a row. They've really played extremely well offensively. Like I said, it surprised me. It's surprising us because we even talked about it at the beginning. You know, the different styles in play will be interesting, and I think it'll be very competitive. And I said Edmonton was going to win because I think they were the hotter team, and they have that offensive power with McDavid, Draisaitl. You know, those guys. They got a good offensive team, but the flaws for the Oilers are showing. Goaltending. They've been rotating between Skinner and what's the other guy's name? Picard,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
So in between those two guys, not doing well to say the least, and it's showing. And Florida, for some reason, they are offensively are playing the best they have. Marchand is playing out of his mind, like we said. They're just, and those flaws from the Oilers are showing because Florida picked it up offensively. So I think Florida gets game 6. They win their second cup in a row. It's just crazy to say that the Florida Panthers, like the Florida Panthers are going to be back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. This is nuts. And this is crazy for the sport of hockey too. I know this doesn't really matter that much, but a Canadian team has not won a Stanley Cup since 93.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. And you know who has won this year, coming up on it last year in Tampa Bay? They're in Florida. Florida hockey is insane right now.
I was going to say, if the Panthers get this one, it'll be 4 out of 5 years with the team.
And even Vegas too. Las Vegas, Nevada. What do you think of that? Like, really?
2 places you would never think a champion of would be a hockey team. Never.
Florida's crazy. You have a team you have the Tampa Bay dynasty there for a little bit, and now you have Florida going back. Do you have Florida about to go back to back? I mean, come on. It's crazy.
It's actually
it's a whole shift for the sport. It really is. Like hockey really has broken into the US, and I'm very happy of that as a hockey fan. Because, a lot of people still will consider hockey not a sport, and that still ticks me off.
Yeah,
clearly it's still Canada's sport. I love Canada. Was actually just up there this weekend. I was in Niagara Falls in Ontario. So I love Canada, great country. Love the visit, and I love hockey. But it's one of the four major. It is. You can't deny it. People will still continue to deny it, and I hate that because it's simply not true. Hockey is really now, especially after the oh my God, I'm blanking on the name. It was like the replacement of the All-Star game. I forget what was it called. Four Nations. Yeah, the full. I can't believe I blanked on that.
That was great.
Face off. After that, hockey became. I'm not saying it's not Canada's national sport anymore because it is. It's their national winter sport.
Yeah.
It's become an American sport too. It's become an American sport too.
I agree.
And especially with the youth and everything. I mean, it is really expensive to play and get gear for. I don't know if you know how expensive it is to play hockey, but like it's becoming really popular in America, and especially down south too, which is crazy. But yeah. So it's great for America with hockey. But yeah, Edmonton. I don't know. We talked about it earlier. Their flaws have shown, and Florida took advantage.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you here. I don't think the Oilers will get Game 6. Panthers will hoist Lord Stanley once again, and I just feel that Edmonton let Game 5 an opportunity to like get away there.
Yeah.
And one thing I just have it pulled up here was just like overall postseason stats. Of course, Draisaitl and McDavid lead them with 33 points each, and then there's a drop off. Now with the Panthers, they have so many guys from Sam Bennett all the way down. They have numerous guys here. Rodriguez with 15 points, and he's like 12th guy, the 12th guy with 15 points, like 15 and up after, like from the rest of them. Then with the Oilers, their sixth leading point getter in the postseason has 14 points. So like that shows that just shows what we've been trying to say.
I know,
We were saying in the beginning, we thought Edmonton really would get it this year just because it feels like they flipped the script flipped
offensively. They did.
But it just kind of the same. Feels like deja vu, man. Just a year later, just kind of the same thing. And listen, if Edmonton gets Game 6, then it's truly deja vu because last year was 7 games. This would be 7 games. A lot going on, and I wouldn't say this is the best time around in sports, but it's up there definitely because 2 champions will be crowned potentially. One confirmed by the next time we have a show together, but potentially 2. Just depends on what happens in the NBA by the end of the week. But hopefully for our fans that the NBA will still have a Game 7 coming up next Monday, so we have a nice treat for everybody. But episode 48 is another great one in my opinion. I think we nailed it once again. Usually now 3 weeks in, it feels like we're getting better and just getting used to each other because it's a lot. People may not know like that we never worked like together doing this before, so we didn't even do a practice show really. We just did we basically just learned like this, like just how to use the software and everything like that. But just shows of how, like, I just really want to just put it out there for everyone to know, like, how, like, we really didn't have any practice together. It feels like we're killing it right now. And we appreciate the support. People watching, leaving comments. Literally say whatever you want in the comments. We don't care. It's like appropriate in a way that it'll be funny, but like, we don't care. Just supporting the of course, from first week to the second week, the views went up in terms of the live videos.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Cash Clampett right there saying you guys are great together.
We appreciate it.
It's really just the beginning because, like, listen, with 3 episodes in and we're doing well and we're getting recognition, it means a lot to just us two. Putting the work. We're putting a lot of work in. Anything else you got to put out there, Biggie? I'm pretty sure we can agree on this, man. We're doing good.
We're doing good things here. This is the beginning, not just for like my channel, but for you. This is huge for you, JD. This is you're going to build yourself an audience. We're going to keep going with this, and You know, we're both in the same field here. You've graduated, but I am still in college for communications and sports media, and I do my thing, and we're bringing our best things together, and it's really working. And I'm very happy we're doing this because this is awesome. This is exactly what, and anybody that's watching that's getting into the field, you have to make connections and collaborate with others in your field with similar interests, because this is what comes out of it, and it leads to big opportunities. So that's my word of advice to anyone getting into communications or sports media as a whole. Get to know people.
Wise words. You're 100% right. That's how it works. And listen, we're doing just the beginning, like you said, and then like before you know it, it's going to be NFL season where we're really going to be passionate. I'm sure. Look, we've had a few little things that we've disagreed on, but I'm sure when we get to the NFL,
there'll be a little bit more.
A little bit more. You'll have to talk me off the ledge a lot every week because
it's mainly because the NBA, I don't watch it at all really anymore, and you do. Hockey, you don't watch it as much, and I do. But the NFL and football as a whole, I watch more college, but I still follow the NFL very well because of the Eagles. But I'm mainly a college guy, and just football in general, we both equally watch and equally follow and have passion for. So, it's, that's going to lead to some more disagreements. But I think now, because we're talking about sports that we, one of us really knows well and the other doesn't. And baseball, I don't know as much as you do. Obviously, with that, I kind of just follow the Yankees, and I enjoy going to games actually more than watching. I always tell people that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But hockey is the only one so far, because we're not in football season yet. Hockey and football are my two big ones. So kind of differentiate there, but we're making it work.
Yeah, we're making it work, man. And next week we'll be back. A time to be determined, just based off of what we said with the NBA. But we'll see what happens with that. But just go out there, like both page, follow, subscribe, whatever, the Instagram, TikTok of both accounts, because Biggie does great work with his skits, and all the different things he has out there. I know the one you put out Friday was very entertaining with the wrestling or whatever.
Yep.
It was very good. But
new TJ show this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Got a little Ghost Hunter show parody.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyone that's into Ghost, there you go. 8 p.m. on Friday on the TJ Production YouTube channel. That'll do it for episode 48. I'm JD. That's Biggie Mills right there. See you, everybody.